What obligations do creators have to their companies, to their publishers, to the people who are paying them for the ongoing work? It's both a complicated question and a very simple question, and it's one that contains some nuance. So let me go through this and give at least my perspective on it, and just be aware as we go that there's a lot of little details in there. So before you throw out your gotcha card, just hear me out. Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is an interesting topic because I've done a few videos lately, and I was reminded of this just now, which was a great reminder, great conversation. That I did a video a while back on crowdfunding and is it fair for companies, for creators to do crowdfunding? And there's a bunch of points laid out in there, but there was one I never hit on, and it's a very good one, and it's that if you're a creator who's working for a company and you get a fixed page rate and you're doing your thing, and then suddenly that company goes out and crowdfunds the book in addition to publishing it through the old means, they've changed the business model of the comic significantly. And there is a argument to be made there that the creator deserves some extra money or a percentage or a cut or a different type of ownership or maybe many different things because the business model has changed. Now, what's interesting about that is that contractually, a lot of people might be quick to say, well, if the creator signed a contract, a work for hire contract, what happens with crowdfunding doesn't matter because they signed that contract. If they didn't like it, don't sign the contract. Except it's not quite that simple because most contracts, most work for hire contracts, and I know at least the big two and a couple of the indies work this way, there is specified either in the WFH contract or the MSA, it is specified the distribution channel. You can't suddenly go out and take this work and do something radically different with it. Even if the contract says, all rights in perpetuity belong to the company, you're still on slightly dodgy legal ground. There's a precedent that's been set for companies that hire one way and then do something radically different. It's not so clean cut for the companies. Now that said, and in addition to just the contractual obligation, it's kind of scummy, or maybe not even kind of. It is scummy to kind of enter into a business proposition with one understanding and then change that understanding kind of down the road. That's not fair game. But really quickly before going down further on that topic, I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna be all over the place a little bit. There is another factor here, and this is the common sense factor, and I want to get this out early, which is to say, as a creator, if you're a freelancer, you're working on a work for hire contract. If you're going purely by the letter and by the contract, the engagement that you're working under, you're not obligated to do anything more than what's specified in that contract. And that contract won't say things like, promote the comic you're working on social media, or do interviews on YouTube, or come on Perch's channel and promote your nice book. Like let's say you're Scott Snyder and you want to promote your book, and you say I should go on Perch's channel, and then you do go on Perch's channel and you promote your book. Just saying, hypothetically, maybe you should do that, Scott Snyder. But anyway, I'm saying, just hypothetically, if you are doing that, it's not in your contract. You're not obligated to do it. So a lot of creators will say, hey, you're not paying me to do this social media marketing on your behalf, and I'm not going to do it. And that's fair. They're correct. However, it's usually in the best interest of the creator to promote the work for their own self-interest, to build a name, to build kind of that they're not just doing Spider-Man, that it's Nick Spencer doing Spider-Man. You don't want to be lost in that shuffle. If you're Brett Booth and you're working on Flash Forward, you want people to know that Brett Booth exists. You don't want it just that Flash artist. You want to carry that name over. So some promotion for yourself it's in your best interest. Unfortunately, this is something that the comic publishers take advantage of. And in some cases, in almost a sinister way, where, for example, one of the big two shot a note out, the editor shot a note out to a writer saying, hey, I'm noticing you're not promoting the book very much. Why not? You should be promoting the book. And the writer's in kind of a tough jam because the writer wants to say, well, you're not paying me to promote it. It's not in my contract. There's nothing in here that says I'm supposed to do this. And now you're kind of keeping tabs on me and wondering why I'm not. It's almost like a very, veiled threat. And that's not cool. So it's one of those things that's like, as a creator, yeah, you should be promoting the hell out of your work and you should be building that name and you should be, your biggest marketing advocate. You should be in charge of your own career, pushing, going, all those things. However, you're not forced to do it contractually. And this is a very kind of weird nuance. And it's a tough one because, unscrupulous comic companies, publishers, will take advantage of the fact that they really do not do marketing effectively at all, or in some cases even have people who do marketing, and they just rely on the creators to do it themselves. And they know the creators will largely do it themselves because they need to build their own career. So they're kind of benefiting off of this kind of unpaid work. And the model generally functions because many people want to be in comics. Fans of comics typically want to make their own comic. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had people come into a shop, they're buying comics, they've been pull list customers forever, and they all have an idea. Every single one of them has some idea of what they'd like to do if they were put in charge of a comic or a character or something. They've all got their stories in their minds, and they'd all love to be. I think it's a dream of anybody to they come in the comic shop to pick up their pull box, and just so happens that Joe Quesada's in there, and they happen to overhear him talking about some amazing idea for a Marvel character, and they get hired on the spot, and that's how their comic career starts. That's the dream that a lot of people have. I used to run art contests in the shop, whereas not contests. Sorry, actually, it wasn't a contest at all. It was literally just hey, if you want to draw something, I'll put it up on the wall. And I tried to do it. I did try it with a contest at one point. That was a terrible idea because art's subjective, as it turns out. But it was amazing to me. I was like, hey, would you like to put your art up on the wall? And I ran out of wall really quickly. I had to shuffle things out because everybody wanted to draw and be in comics. It's something that people love. And the fact that exists like that means that the power is definitely in the hands of the publishers to, be able to lean on people. I mean, very few people, I shouldn't say nobody, because I know some people have, but very few editors or people at the publisher would say to you, hey, you really need to do these extra 5 things because you're disposable. There's other creators out there who would be happy to take your job. And even though in many cases, I think some of them are thinking that, it's this unspoken threat. Now, the crazy part about that is I don't think people are as replaceable as the publishers often think. I think, how many Mark Silvestris are there out there? How many Todd McFarlanes out there? How many? I mean, these people don't just grow on trees. If you treat them as disposable and they go away, or they do crowdfunding, they do their own thing, whatever, if they go away, it's not like you can just, reach out and pull in a new top flight artist. But I do think that the publishers, certainly at the top management, I think they're a little too confident with the idea that Batman and Spider-Man and Superman and Wolverine will all sell no matter who's on the book. I think they view the IP as the most valuable part. Make no mistake about it, I think the character is valuable. I think the Wolverine, the Spider-Man, etc. It definitely sells. They're recognizable brands. But I think they undervalue or undersell the impact of the creator, the writer, and the artist. Those people do bring a lot to the table. And the bigger names out right now, I mean, I'll put it this way. I know there's plenty of the audience here who does not like Tom King. However, Tom King is a name in comics that generates some sales. Is he a million copy seller? No. But if Tom King suddenly went to Image and worked on some unknown title, it's pretty comfortable that even with kind of no marketing, no effort, nothing special at all, unknown property, whatever else, that comic is probably going to sell 20,000 copies. with no real effort. Probably higher than that, but I mean on the low end. He's got a name that generates at least some level of sales. Whether you love him or you hate him, it's true. On the art side of the world, I mean, Ryan Stegman is a guy that if he goes and he jumps over to DC, or if he goes to Boom or whatever, there are a group of people who are going to follow Stegman as a creator, as an artist, because that name counts. If Marvel suddenly lost Stegman, and say midway through King in Black, Stegman's like, you know what, F it, I'm out. And he decides to go do he goes, does something else, does a crowdfunded book, goes to Boom, the Vault. He shows up at Black Mass Studios and he starts doing the title there. I mean, why not? He would take an audience with him, and Marvel couldn't just immediately like dump in, random guy at a third the page rate and still get the same level of attention. It wouldn't work. So that this dynamic is an interesting one, because it's like both sides have each other in a bit of a stalemate. If you're a creator, you need to look out for yourself, and that includes doing a lot of marketing and doing a lot of promotion that, by the way, is going to benefit the publisher as well. But on the publisher level, you do need to recognize that these creators are not just disposable, they're not interchangeable, and that you also have a responsibility to do some of the marketing yourself. And I say that only from the standpoint of eventually it will catch up to you, and these big management jobs or medium management jobs or whatever it is you have, they will be replaced. The person who may be replaceable in all this is you. And the management, the creators can come and go, but I mean, put it this way, I mean, Dan Didio, and this maybe is getting into I don't know, they're too polarized of a topic, but Dan Didio can't just waltz into Marvel. He probably has a non-compete, but even outside of that, is Marvel looking to hire Dan Didio? If Tom Brevoort left Marvel, where is he going to go? I think some of the smaller independent publishers would hire him, but it's not a lock. Those positions are a lot less certain. I put it this way: if Tom Brevoort moved out and decided to work with Dan Didio, and the two of them made a comic book, I don't know that title is going to sell. Their names are not associated with that type of work. They're going to have a hard go of it. Whereas you can go down the list, Ryan Ottley if Ryan Ottley decided to leave and do a crowdfunded book, he's going to draw an audience with him. Yes, you could replace him with, Ramos or somebody else on Spider-Man. You convince Chris Bachalo to come back and do a couple issues, but you're not, it's not just getting some unknown person to keep the numbers up. So an interesting dynamic. I apologize. I went kind of all over the place with all this. So not the most coherent bit of thought, but I like I said, it's stuff that was on my mind. Had a good conversation earlier, and it's just kind of locked in here. Wanted to get this out because it is an interesting dynamic of power between the publishers and the creators, and kind of who holds what leverage. And it's not simple. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. What's your thoughts? Where do you sit with all this? And this is a nuanced position. This is not a black and white solution. And it does play into a lot of this kind of ongoing comic culture war, because, if you think about everything I just said, and then you think about kind of the mood at times, say, of creators, when a bunch of fans kind of scream at them for one thing or another and why they might snap back. This is one of those reasons. This whole weird game. And it's one, frankly, I think what I just described here is potentially a lot more of the result, or the recipe for why comics aren't succeeding as much as they should be, than say, continuity is too hard for people to figure out. This dynamic does not generate the best work. It generates tension. It generates mistrust. And I think it's a bigger, there's a bigger result in here than may first meet the eye. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in your comments below. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff that I'm supposed to say because I'm a YouTuber. Do all of those things. But most importantly, and the important one is thanks for listening.